Holmes, go on your bed. Come here. Come on. On your bed. Holmes, on your bed. On your bed.
How you going, guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Happy New Year to everybody, and hope everyone had a really safe Christmas. Here on the Gold Coast we did get a pretty severe storm that went through on Christmas night and just wreaked absolute devastation upon the Gold Coast. It tore down trees, ripped apart houses, and a lot of the Gold Coast is still without power. And we did get over 100 km/h wind gusts coming through the back of the workshop, so that really tested the wind rating on the igloo. It did rip up one side of it, but I did manage to save the igloo and stop it from flying away. There were also a few trees in the area come down. Next door did lose a couple of trees, and we've got a tree or two over the train tracks that has actually been broken off at ground level. And apart from that, we were lucky not to have any other damage here at the workshop. So it is the new year, but we haven't officially opened just yet to do customer jobs. So while we've still got a little bit of downtime, we're going to get a little bit further ahead on our Franna Crane project. So today we're going to be removing the boom off the crane. So there are a few reasons why I'm going to be pulling the boom off. One of the main reasons is there is a cylinder hiding inside the boom that is used to extend it. I would like to service that and do a full inspection and make sure that's not going to blow at a later stage. Because they are an absolute nightmare to get out and put back in, this seems to be the perfect time where I could do that sort of repair. Because there has been so much rust and corrosion throughout the rest of the crane, being that the boom is the main lifting part of the machine, I would like to make sure it is perfect. So while I've got the boom apart, I will sandblast and crack test and see if there's any other repairs that need to be done. So to get the boom off, first thing I'm going to have to do is lower it back down. Because there is no hydraulics on the machine at the moment because the motor is out, there is no way to lower the booms under hydraulic power. There is a backup motor in there that is used for emergencies if you do lose the motor, in order to turn the hydraulics on to put the boom down or lower the winch. That hasn't worked since I've owned it. There must be something electrically wrong with there, or the motor might be seized. These cylinders also have a check valve in them, and that valve is designed so if something blows like a hose or a pipe, the boom doesn't come crashing down. But you can't just get in the machine and push the lever forward and the oil bypass back into the tank. That check valve stops that from happening. It is basically just a fail safe, so nothing lands on the ground or no one gets hurt. What you could do is you could relieve the check valves by just cracking them off with a spanner and allowing the oil to bypass, but you can't physically get to the check valves because the hoses are in the way, and that is also a pretty unsafe way of doing it. You would need to do them both together in order for the boom to come down evenly. So what I am going to do is put two fittings into the top of the valve block, and I will use the power pack off the press to control the descent of the boom. So I do have two valve blocks I could use to plug on my power pack, but one of them has slightly larger fittings than the other one, and I'm not 100% sure whether I have fittings to suit the valve block where the solenoids are, but I am going to unplug that and check because that is the easiest one to access. I don't have fittings that big. So I don't have fittings to suit that valve block, so I am going to have to go down to the valve block that's underneath the boom lift cylinders. I know someone's going to say, you know, you're taking off hydraulic fittings for something that is under pressure. Because of the way the craning valves work, I can undo every single hose in here and this boom is not going to come down. The only way the boom can come down is when I apply pressure to the check valves to allow one to get out of the way to allow oil to then bypass. There's nothing unsafe about what I'm doing here. Those check valves are 100% fine because I rebuilt them before I put them back in the cylinders. Down. So when doing stuff like this, you don't want to open both of those just in case there is something wrong, in case one of the valves is stuck or it's got a blown O-ring on it. Do one at a time, that way you have actually sealed each side of the cylinder. If the pressure does get out, it's not going to drop the boom in a hurry, the other side's going to catch it. Oh.
There we go. What's that?
Brake cleaner. Right, get some power out here. So if you're ever going to do something like this, you need to make sure you have oil storage space inside the power pack. So before I unhook this from our hydraulic press, I pushed the cylinder all the way down so the majority of the oil out of the power pack was in that cylinder, knowing full well I had about 40 litres of oil to put in the power pack when I lowered these cylinders down. That oil needs to go somewhere. You need to have the storage for it, and now this power pack is full. So by doing that, we don't end up with 40 litres of oil on the ground, and now I can simply just transfer the oil from the power pack into another holding tank. So before we go and unhook those, they are a high pressure fitting, which means they are going to hold pressure in them. So I'm just going to push the lever on the power pack back and forward to relieve any pressure built up in the system. Now they're loose.
Oh.
Now that we've got the boom down level, next thing I'm going to do is remove the boom lift cylinders from the boom. I know what you're thinking, why didn't you do this when you rebuilt the cylinders and refitted them? I didn't know how far I was going to go with this project, so if I had have known, I would have done all this back then. Now we've got the boom lift cylinders out of the way, I'm going to rig the crane up ready to do the lift, and then I'm going to disconnect anything else that's holding the boom to the crane.
You can smell something. It's in here. What's in there? Oh, hey, get out. Get out of there. Homeless. Oi, sit. Homeless. Good boy. That's it, all gone.
So the first thing I'm going to disconnect is all the hoses that go to the winch and the cylinder that goes inside the boom. Wrap's going off, I should bug it. Wasn't even that loud. This one here. So what this is a counter. So this counts off rotations. There is a cable that goes around a drum, which then spins a cog, and it tells the crane safe screen how far the boom is fully extended. So we don't want to damage that because they are bloody expensive. What I am going to do is I'm going to unplug it from inside the box. That way I'm not worried about damaging this cable or trying to track this back into the cabin. Now that we've got those cables out of the way, the next thing I need to do is remove the pins that hold the boom to the crane.
Easy.
Yeah. Boom is free. Now that the boom's free, we can lift it from the crane. Now that we've got it off the crane, we're going to have a good look over it, but there's only so much we can see with the boom fully closed. As it sits, it is 7.4 meters long and weighs 3 ton. Up at the end of the boom where the rhino hook is, we do have 2 pulleys on the inside, which is your drop for your winch block. They all seem to be in pretty good condition. The bearings are moving, there isn't any excess side slop. The other pulley just behind them, it is in good shape, it doesn't slop around either. The rope itself is not in very good condition, it is very corroded and there are a few broken strands, which makes them a death adder. If you run your hands along it, it will catch you and it will catch up pretty good. That rope is not going to be suitable. There is a risk of that breaking depending how bad the corrosion has gone through the cable itself, so that is definitely going to be replaced. But apart from that, everything else down this end of the boom does look okay. So on the top of the boom we do have these adjusting bolts, and they are for the timing cables. When this boom starts to extend, all the stages have to keep up with each other in order to have the boom at its maximum strength at whatever length of reach it is actually lifting at. So we do have a cable here, this is the anchor, and then it does run down through the boom, through a set of pulleys and comes back up, and this is the adjustment for that. There are also another set of these down the other end of the boom, and they are used for the same thing. So the complexity inside these is quite high. Everything must work exactly right or you end up with binding, or you can have the opposite problem where everything's too loose and the cables can jump off the pulleys on the inside, and then it is an absolute nightmare to try and rectify the situation. On top we also have the conduit, and that is what holds the electrical wiring for the clearance lights on the end of the boom, which weren't working anyway. So down this end of the boom we have the main winch. It runs over a pulley, goes all the way to the front, does a loop, comes back, goes back to the front, and then goes down to the actual hook block itself. There are also 2 adjustment bolts back here for the other internal cable for the timing of the way the extensions come out. So we can also see the very end of the boom extension cylinder. In front of that there is the check valve block, and that also has the hydraulic fittings in it that feed the cylinder. This cylinder doesn't feed like a standard one with a port in the end of the barrel. Both of these feeds go through the rod itself down into the cylinder for the extension and the retract. As you can see, it is very, very tight in there and you can't see a great deal. It is extremely dark. This is where things become a little bit more complicated. If I'm just to go ahead and start pulling things apart without taking notice or doing it in the wrong procedure, I can end up doing damage and I won't know the way it actually came apart or goes back together. I already have looked through the manual that we bought from Franna when I first got the crane. It does have an image of what the boom is supposed to look like when it is assembled, and it does have a few images of the different internal extensions, but it is very vague on how it goes together or the disassembly process. To give myself the best opportunity to see how everything works, I am going to hook the power pack up to the extension cylinder and extend it out to let some light in and hopefully show everything that I can't see. Once we start to extend the boom, we are going to change the center of mass. So rather than the boom tip up as I'm extending it out, I am going to use our yard crane just to apply a little bit of weight to the end of the boom so it doesn't want to tip up once we're extending it. Time. See how the cable comes over the top to the first extension, and it goes over the pulley, returns back up the inside of the first extension. This is the second pulley on top of the third extension, and it turns around and heads back up to the block. Righto, so that's the boom as far as we can extend it using the hydraulics. We also have a manual extension, so we remove a pin and we can slide it out another 4.5 meters. So this thing can reach a pretty good distance. So now that it's out, we have got a clear view of the end of the cylinder rod, but we can't see where it attaches to the first stage. There are a set of pulleys there that have something to do with the timing. There are 2 holes on either side of the first stage of the boom. So I am going to retract the boom back just a little bit, and hopefully that will give us a better picture on how it's all attached.
There we go. Okay, maybe, kinda. Does it need to go back a little further?
Maybe. So if you want to go down that end,
Okay.
you can control the hydraulics. Keep going. No, now we've lost sight of them. So just go back the other way. Yep. Push it forward. Yep. Let's push stop button. Righto guys, so after extending the boom in and out a few times, we haven't been able to line up these holes, but it has given us a greater understanding on how everything works inside. We can see the end of the barrel. On the end of that, there are 2 pulleys, one on each side of the barrel end, which do carry the cables for the timing. But as I kind of suspected, the way this is going to need to come apart is going to have to be done in stages. We can't just undo one magical bolt. So we are going to have to follow a procedure in how we pull the boom apart so we can then access the cylinder. And while I've got it disassembled, I'm also going to be replacing any of the wear pads that go underneath the boom, and the shim packs that go on either side of the boom. We'll also replace the bearings in all of the pulleys and anything else that needs replacing while we have full access to it. But I do need to make sure that all of those parts are available. If they're not available, we'll need to come up with a solution in order to replace them. And disassembling this is definitely going to take more than an afternoon. So that's as far as we're going to go today. You're going to have to stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching. Right, so while it's...
Wow, this is going well.
Ready?
Yep.
How you going guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Wait, are we talking anything about like...
Every time.
So a happy new year and hope everyone... Fuck off. So while we still have a bit of doubt... Fuck off, train. So I do have 2 valve blocks that I can fit fittings to. Fuck. And while I've got it disassembled, I'm also going to be... Oh, for fuck's sake, I can't even get a word out now. So if you're going to do...
Just now we've got the boom down level.
Yep. Right. Now that we've got the boom down level, I can remove it. First thing I'm going... What?
No.
Right. Now that we've got the boom down and it...
Now we've got the boom down level.
Right. I can't hear you. All I see is this. That worked spot on, Bevan.
That's chockers.
Chock-a-block.
What's that?
Playing. Towing the banner.
Is it?
Yep, something about beer.
Beer.
Better beer day for it.
Aha.
There you go. Can't get to it. I can't fit that way. It's too big to fit beside the 2 things.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tight. A big enough shifter. Oh, look at that.
What the hell is that? Wasps.
Yeah.
How did they get... There's a tomato sauce packet in there.
Really?
And something else. What else is that?
It's in a tuna, I think.
What the... So, up.
Pull back to you, just very gently.
Okay, hang on. Am I pushing it up or pulling it forwards?
Where are you standing?
In front of it.
Righto. Push it that way.
Push it back.
Push it forward. Push it forward.
Forward
Or
back.
pull it back. Just push it forward just a little bit.
Okay, I can do this.
Alright, you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
You're a menace.
Yeah, what you got? Where's your toys? Wait, look what's in there. Yeah.
Bye.